Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and this is going to be my Week 7 team builder for the UBL. We are getting close to the end of the season here, just a few more weeks to go. We are currently sitting at a 4-2 record after catching an L last week versus TTM Sticks. If you did miss that battle, make sure you check it out. It's the last video on my channel. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. I had a little bit of a hard time getting that upload up, but it wasn't because I was salty or anything. It was actually a really good game. I recommend you check it out. We did lose, like I said, but Sticks is a really cool dude. He was really fun to battle. And now as I'm recording this, I like 5 minutes ago woke up from a nap, and I'm just feeling really exhausted right now. So I'm gonna try and go through as much detail as I can, like I usually do, but I'll have a little bit of a loss of the pep in my step at the moment. We are going to be battling our next opponent in just a few minutes here. That is none other than Root and his New Jersey Brobats. And so let's take a look at his team, and then I'll break down the squad that I have decided to bring versus him. So he has a Swellow, a Mega Diancie, Raichu, Garchomp, Shaman, Meloetta, Melodic, Blastoise, Nidoqueen, Scizor, and Incineroar. So it's a pretty spooky team. A couple things that are very interesting. Double Water is something that I think is pretty nice. Typically, I like to have like a slightly more offensive water type to pair with a more defensive water type, whereas he sort of has like two defensive water types. But that's okay. You know, they're going to be really hard for my team to break through, especially because I only brought one Pokemon that really threatens the both of them. So we have to, you know, sort of play that one by ear. He has a lot of really scary setup options. So things like SD Garchomp, Rock Polish Diancie, SD Scizor are all really spooky. Potentially like a Calm Mind Shaman, not Shaman, Meloetta, that other mythical looking Pokemon. Even like Nasty Pot Raichu is no joke. So definitely some scary setup options that we have to contemplate. He's got some pretty decent responses to some of my best offensive mons. Like Sneasel on paper has a pretty good matchup versus a few things. But in reality, he's got like 3 of the best counters in the game to something like Sneasel, being Incineroar, Scizor, and Melodic. So it's a little bit tough. I'm sort of forced to bring Sneasel for other reasons. But he has very good ways to switch into it. He has, I guess, he's got a pretty good way to deal with Necrozma. Like a AV Intimidate Incineroar is going to do a really good job of dealing with Necrozma. So I definitely expect that to come this game. He's got a potentially fat Shaman, which is a really good versus my Diggersby and Heliolisk. They're both on the bench this game. He doesn't have an incredible way to deal with Lopunny. Like a Fizdef, Rocky Helmet, Nidoqueen is probably the best way. Or potentially Flame Orb, Milotic. Both of those are pretty decent. And he does have the option to bring like a Rocky Helmet Chomp, which would be really annoying. It still gets to a KO'd by Lopunny, but it would do like 60% damage along the way. So that's definitely something that we have to be on the lookout for, no doubt about that. So yeah, I have a strategy going into this game, and why don't I just stop beating around the bush and get into it. So this is going to be my, hopefully my win con this game. It is Mega Lopunny with Encore, High Jump Kick, Ice Punch, and Power Up Punch. So I got a little bit of help from my buddy Josh for crafting this set. Big shout outs to him. Josh, aka Ultra Player. If you don't know his channel, definitely go check it out. But we kind of thought of this being a pretty nice way to take advantage of like a Flame Orb Milotic if he chooses to bring it. So if he does have his Flame Orb up, that's a pretty reliable switch into this thing. So we would click High Jump Kick and have Melodic switch in, and presumably on the second turn, he's going to want to recover. So what we're going to do is, if we find ourselves in that situation, we're going to click Power Up Punch versus the Melodic, expecting to recover. And as soon as it's gone for that recover, we can go for Encore and lock it into recover. And that allows us to get up a second Power Up Punch for free. And with 2 Power Up Punches, there's really very little that can deal with Lopunny. If Nidoqueen is at 75% and it is Fizdef, we do OHKO literally everything on the team. The only way that he would be able to deal with Lopunny is with a Choice Scarf Mon that can revenge kill Lopunny. Because he doesn't have a Mon that's faster than Lopunny. He doesn't have, like, he does have Scizor, which has some very powerful priority and Bullet Punch, especially if it's on like a Choice Bandit set. But, you know, we could do some pretty good damage to the rest of his team otherwise. without really any retaliation in return. So we have to sniff out that Scarfer. We have to leave ourselves at a range of HP that Bullet Punch cannot revenge us. And Lopunny is in a position to really do good work this game. So, yep, that's the thought process. Enough speed on here to outspeed Swallow. That's pretty much it. Pretty straightforward. Next, we do have an Expert Belt Sneasel. Pretty standard looking set. Double Ice, Knockoff, and then Low Kick to hit the Incineroar. Not that Incineroar really takes a ton from Low Kick, but you know, I couldn't leave myself in a position where nothing on no move slot on Sneasel could really damage Incineroar. It does like 30-ish% to like a max HP variant. So like after a few switch-ins on rocks, like it's no longer going to be able to really deal with Low Kick, but it'll take us a little bit while to get there. I'm hoping that I can just pressure Incineroar fairly well with something like Necrozma. But yeah, Sneasel's a really good mon to have something guaranteed that can revenge kill Swallow, to have something that can revenge kill Garchomp if it's setting up SDs or if it seems to be Scarf or anything like that. Outspeeds Raichu. It pretty much eliminates any threat from like a Calm Mind Meloetta. Applies a lot of pressure to Shaman. Shaman's a really good switch-in for a lot of the members of my team. Because if it does have like Synthesis, the only way that I can really one-shot it is with Heatran. Or not one-shot it, to do good damage to it is with Heatran. Otherwise, it should kind of just Synthesis up for days versus me. So Sneasel felt mandatory just to take advantage of that thing, which seems like it's almost mandatory that it comes, in my opinion. So yeah, enough speed on Sneasel to do good damage. Sorry, enough speed on Sneasel to outspeed Diancie. I'm tempted to make this Life Orb actually now that I'm thinking about it, just because I need a little bit of that boost in order to do damage to Diancie. So I might make this Life Orb. I think I'm going to make it Life Orb. I haven't exported my team yet into what do you call it, so we could do that. Next up, we do have Heatran. Rocket an Air Balloon, max HP, max speed, max special attack. So the reason that I wanted Air Balloon is because I just wanted like an absolute fail-safe versus any sort of like Calm Mind Diancie. Or just Diancie in general. Like if it's looking like my team is all whittled, like my Necrozma's whittled, my Quagsire is whittled, I don't have any of my moms that can outspeed and revenge kill Diancie. I wanted one safe way to beat Diancie, and that's what this Heatran is. It does a ton of damage with Flash Cannon, obviously. I think even with like a +1 boost, we should be able to do good damage to it with Flash Cannon, or at least put it in range of something like Ice Shard on Sneasel. So that's really good. It also serves as good insurance versus like Swellow. Like Swellow cannot really do a ton of damage to us with any of its stab moves. It does have the option to go for something like Hidden Power Ground on like a Specs or Life Orb set, but that way we won't be taking that sort of damage from Heatran. If he's like Scarf Chomp, we can dodge Scarf Chomp with our Air Balloon, so that's really nice. Incineroar can't really hit us super well if he doesn't have the ability to hit us with Earthquake. Obviously, there's Dark-type moves which will do a decent chunk of damage, but we should be outspeeding any variant of Incineroar anyway. And also, it makes us like immune to the stabs of Nidoqueen. So, Heatran, I'm definitely going to keep in the back just for like the oh shit moment versus something like Diancie, but it can also be a decent pivot versus the other members of his team. And it's also basically my only way of revenge killing Scizor. Scizor is really, really spooky in this matchup. And so I don't want to switch Heatran in on Scizor if I can help it. I'd rather go into something else, like my Quagsire that I'll show you in a moment. But if I do let a Mon go down, I can then bring in my Heatran and scare it out with Fire Blast, or kill it with Fire Blast, whatever he chooses to do. We'll have to sort of make a game time decision, right, on what sort of move he chooses to pick. But I think, like, if he, like, I'll even think like a careful Max Spadef Scizor can survive a Fire Blast from a max special attack Heatran even after Aqua Berry. I can calc that real quick. Let me see. Scizor. I'll drag it over in just a second, guys. But I do want to check this. 252, careful. Aqua Berry. There we go. So yep, let me show you guys this right here. So yeah, even like a max Spadef Scizor with Akaberry takes 88% from this Heatran. So there's there's pretty much no variant of Scizor besides maybe like Agility with Superpower that can beat this Heatran. So that's pretty good. Next we do have a Spadef Necrozma with a Guavberry. So this is my number one switch into Diancie. With the special defense investment that we have and the Aguav Berry, we can live 3 Moonblasts after we get our 50% recovery. And we can easily 2-hit KO with Earth Power. It's also like a decent switch into some of his other special attackers, such as Shaman, Nidoqueen, Swellow, Meloetta, things like that. It can definitely pivot in on all of those things if needed, and threaten them fairly well with its combination of Earth Power and Photon Geyser. I definitely expect, like I said, that Incineroar to come to help deal with Necrozma. Like a Spadef Scizor as well would do pretty good versus Necrozma. I don't really have a way to beat that with this set. But yeah, this is just a really bulky, annoying Mon for him to deal with, which is really nice. I don't really have much else to say on Necrozma. It's my rocker. The fact that it can beat Diancie makes it really good as a rocker, and the fact that, yeah, it switches in on 100 other things means I should be able to get up rocks in this match. We will have to see. Next, I do have a Rocky Helmet Quagsire with Recover Toxic, Earthquake, Ice Punch. Earthquake, Ice Punch actually is pretty good coverage versus his team. I would hate to, be root and go up against a team with Mamoswine because this coverage is just very, very solid versus him. Toxic is there just so we can wear down Mons like Meloetta if they want to try and like stall us with Calm Mind and other annoying stuff like that. Hits Shaman upon switch in, so that way Shaman can't just stay in and like stall my team out. He'll have to switch it out to get the natural cure gift. It does have Unaware, so it makes it immune to set up Scizor, set up Garchomp, things like that. And we do have that Rocky Helmet to try and get a little bit of extra chip, particularly on like a Choice Banded Scizor. Like Rocky Helmet isn't that useful versus like setup Scizor, but basically my best way of dealing with Scizor otherwise is going to be just slowed chip with Rocky Helmet and Stealth Rocks. So yeah, we do have some Spadef investment on this, like I said, so that way we can deal with something like Meloetta if we need, and it makes it like pretty good for switching in on Nidoqueen if it's not Life Orb. And then last but not least, we have my main response for dealing with the water types, another Toxic Orb Breloom set. So we last brought this versus Leo and his Durham Dreadicons. That team has since evolved into the Los Angeles Clefable, coached by Greg. But in any case, it is making its return. At some point in the season, we will bring a Technician set. But I thought that this set was just too good not to bring. Toxic Orb is really important because it makes this thing a safe switch in versus Scalds, which I am otherwise not. A good switch into. We have a lot of Spadef investments, so that way we can take Ice Beam from Melodic a little bit better. With this investment, actually, we can like go for a Seed Bomb versus it. It can hit us back in return with Ice Beam. We protect the next turn, and after we do protect, we are out of range of a second Ice Beam. And then, like, we should be outspeeding it anyway. I'm outspeeding Melodic by like 3 points. Or 3 or 4 points. So we should be able to 2-hit KO anyway, but if for some reason he puts a little bit of speed creep on his Melodic, we should still be able to deal with it. And that's ignoring the possibility of Leech Seed recovery as well. Like if Leech Seed recovery is up, we don't even necessarily need to protect. I don't know why we wouldn't protect just to get that second turn of Toxic Orb and Leech Seed. But that would be really nice. He does have a couple good ways to like revenge kill this, like Diancie, Meloetta, things like that. Shaman can hit this thing with Psychic or Air Slash and do a ton of damage. But otherwise, like this just could be, if the correct Mons have been removed, this can be a very annoying set for him to deal with. Like just because he doesn't have a great way to weaken it in one shot without like Diancie. So that's gonna be the team this week, folks. It's a little bit on the defensive side, I would say, like especially with these last 3 Mons, and then Heatran. Like, even though it has an offensive set, it's sort of being reserved for, like, a defensive check role, just to make sure Diancie doesn't sweep. I'm not really going to be pivoting this in on things. Yeah, so I'm really relying a lot on, like, Sneasel and Lopunny to apply offensive pressure this game. And, yeah, maybe I can just stall him out with the combination of Necrozma and Quagsire. We're going to have to see how this goes. But, yeah, we are going to be playing in just a few minutes here. The battle will be going up on Saturday, if all goes well. I'm going to try not to get so distracted this weekend, and I'll try to get it out on time. I'm getting a lot of help for recording now. Big shout-outs to AA Ron2 for recording my matches. So I'll correspond with him as soon as this match is over, so that way I can get this up on time for you all. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you check out the battle tomorrow. Make sure you go down the description below and check out all of our fantastic coaches. And make sure you subscribe and like this video so you can stay up to date on all of my latest and greatest Pokemon content. So until the next time, I'll see you guys later.